welcome to this new episode of LinguaBees podcast. Today we will share some stories about how conducting our discourse analysis research was, and actually more than that, how to write a journal and choosing the topic for our journal article was challenging, but at the same time meaningful for us. And we will open up this conversation with a question that has landed here in this podcast. We will start with Alo first. Alo, how was this process at the beginning? How was this process of choosing a topic and later on trying to modify into this journal that actually you wrote?
Well, I think it was a long process and somehow difficult because, the article that we wrote about a discourse analysis project, it was because we had to turn this article for as our final project for the class, but also we had to send it to a journal. So it was at the beginning it was like really stressful for me because it was like a big responsibility to choose an appropriate topic that was at the same time kind of easy to carry out, because at the same time that we were writing this article and doing this project, we had also like to continue with our thesis writing. So, at the beginning, I felt a little bit confused about what kind of piece of discourse I wanted to work on and to analyze. And at the beginning, it was a little bit difficult because of the different variety of possibilities that are out there. But I think that after like some clarification of the concepts of what is a piece of discourse and what discourse means, and how it's not only like something written, but it can also be like something with video, with audio, signs, and conversations, etc. I think it was a little bit easier to kind of focus what I wanted to do for this project. And I think it also helped to have like a list of three ideas that I wanted to do. And from those three ideas, start to choose the topic. And the final topic that I decided to do was related to El Monstruo de Mi Cuarto, which is a short story that was shared in Medellín en 100 Palabras, which is like a competition for writers to write a short story in less than 100 words. And this story, or like the development of our project, started to understand what was the context in which the author wrote this story, and how the impact of this story was, for example, in like a lot of Latin countries, and especially like how newspapers had an important role in like the spread of this short story, not only in Latin countries but also like around the world. And I think from like trying to understand the context of this story and like all the different circumstances that surrounded like its spread, it also helped me to like kind of focus in what to select for the topics of the literature review, and then like to kind of structure the article.
Yeah, and actually, especially, it is important to address again that you said when you conduct something into a topic that is so sensitive and so sometimes so challenging, but at the same time difficult, you have to like be 100% sure of what you're doing and raising awareness that you are portraying what you meant to without trying to not hurt anyone's sensibilities about these specific topics. And talking about this, following this line, dude, how was in your case, because you choose another topic with this with a critical approach actually, but it was somehow different, right?
Yeah. In my case, I chose a song. And well, at the beginning of the semester, it was, as Alan mentioned, it was kind of difficult to narrow your ideas because there were many approaches that you could select. And actually, like, in order to address your topic, you had many options there. So in my case, I was plenty sure that I wanted to analyze a song, which in this case is One Stand Down by Muse, the British band. So as you mentioned, Alex, I selected a critical discourse analysis, which, as you know, it analyzes like the power relationships, problems, and also like to discover the ideologies behind a discourse. And well, I think that was like the most important approach that I could select to analyze this piece of discourse. And also I selected systemic functional linguistics in order to like give it more systematization, because it was going to give it more support to the ideas and to the analysis of the song. And well, as the professor mentioned at the beginning of the semester, knowing about discourse analysis opens like a new world for you, and you see the things in a very with different eyes, with a different look. So it was difficult to select the topic and also to narrow your ideas in the research question, because I struggled a lot with the research question. I wanted to analyze everything and a lot of things at the same time, but I had to really settle in a very specific thing in the song. So it was a very very interesting experience for me, because this was my first article. And with discourse analysis, well, I learned a lot in the area about the different approaches that we could follow. And as Alon mentioned, I learned that a discourse is more than a text. A text is more than just letters. You can use images, pictures, audios, etc., etc. And for example, you, Alex, how was your process?
Well, thank you. I couldn't disagree with you. It was at the same time difficult because I thought, okay, if I'm about to write an article and publish an article, which in my case it's the first one, of course, I wanted to share something that was meaningful, but at the same time to choose a topic that could represent something, that could represent a part of a story that was needed. Well, in my case, that I think that it was needed. So I selected the story of Kenia Cuevas, which is a transgender activist, Mexican transgender activist, that has suffered with lots of issues throughout and challenges throughout her life. And I wanted to share the story of her because it was so meaningful, and throughout the discourse analysis, to listen to these narratives, I choose the narrative framework by Labov, which is based on a set of characterization of settings, characterizations of the narratives into several items. So I had to like listen to the story of Kenia Cuevas in a podcast named Más Allá del Rosa. And throughout those stories, I was able to know and to understand what it meant to her to realize that she was a transgender woman, and more than that, to raise awareness on how people could be able to not notice, but could be able to raise awareness at the same time in this spectrum of possibilities that now we have, talking about gender identity. And coming back to the discourse analysis process, narrative analysis showed me that in a text, as Alo and Dulce mentioned, text is more than letters, right? You have to consider you have to be aware and consider tons of options that happen through the conversation, the intonation, the words that are used, the spaces in the conversation, turn taking. And before that, I wasn't aware of any of those items. I was just listening to a conversation, and that's it. But now that you are aware of that, and now that you conduct an analysis and wrote an article about discourse analysis, you are now aware that all the things that happen through the conversation, and you are able to like go beyond that, right? Go beyond a specific meaningful aspect of the conversation and try to look for it. And for me, it was so interesting. It was I really enjoyed this process of writing an article. It was really what a ride, I know, but what a journey was. And yeah, but as a final part, I would like to ask you girls, how was this related to writing an article, realizing that now you wrote an article, you are an author now? How is this?
Well, I think that it was something that let's say it was like a different sensation or something like different because as we have been like studying our BA degree and now our MA degree, and we have always been surrounded by these like academic works and always turning in essays and like reading articles or essays or reaction papers, like different pieces of writing. um it was like a different experience because well, for me, when we were told that we were going to send this article for a journal, I was like really scared of like being rejected or saying like this maybe negative feedback towards my work. I mean, we have been surrounded by also like feedback from professors, from classmates, and specifically towards our writing and how we can improve like certain areas of our writing. But like I don't know, like facing that situation where you want to publish something and send it to a journal and have like other people outside your academic context reviewing your work, it was a little bit like scary for me, and I was like confused, and I had like a lot of questions regarding like the format, like how to I don't know, approach the person that I was going to send the article to, and how to write like the email or like all those kind of more like technical things. But I think it was like a very rewarding experience because maybe you think that your work has like or is not perfect, but I think having it published is like something that kind of boosts this motivation to continue with your writing, improving, and maybe like with the next publications that you might be able to um, like send to a journal, like maybe see your improvement, like this was the first one and it's going to be special because of that. But I think it's like the start of this like different journey that, as you mentioned, Alex, it was like a very let's say long process, but I think it's something where we learned like a lot of things, and I think it was really really something that well, I'm going to remember
Yeah,
always.
that's what it makes special, this article, because it is the first one, I think. What about you, do? Well, how was your experience of knowing, okay, I'm an author right now?
For me, it's really exciting because this is my first one, and also it was about a topic that I really enjoy. It might look like not very academic, but it is indeed. So it's something that I did very, very, I don't know, very happily. I enjoy the process of analyzing each piece of the lyrics of the song because this is a band I really love. So for me, this is, as you mentioned, like a first step for many other uh, future publications that I want to do. And also, before publishing this, I was like very worried about, as Alo mentioned, about the critics or about the feedback or about my ideas, because I was aware that my work was going to be read by other people. So I had to be very careful in the process of what I wanted to say and how I wanted to approach my ideas, and maybe if my ideas were actually understood. So and also by word choice and all those things that maybe if I write something for myself, I wouldn't pay a lot of attention. But since this was for a real publication, I was like more worried about it in a sense. But I actually enjoyed the process a lot, and I learned a lot also. And maybe we are not perfect. We are not perfect writing because learning to write takes a lot of time. And but with this first publication, I am really more confident. So I think that I can improve in the future publications I make, but I learned a lot in the process.
Yeah, as you both mentioned, I was so scared too. And actually, I was scared when I realized that I was going to be read by someone, but someone else out there in the world, and I was not gonna be the one that reads, you know. So I was afraid of that at the beginning, and actually knowing that, what if I was rejected? What if my work didn't seem so meaningful for the journal? What if tons of what if? But at the same time, I really enjoyed the process because I learned how to conduct and how to write an article, what it means to write an article in terms of sending those emails, revising the format. Now that you know that, it's like, okay, it's way difficult than I thought. And actually, when us that we are starting, we read a lot and a lot of articles, but now you see the articles with other overview, like, okay, this was really difficult. It might take, okay, this author tons of hours to write this piece of paper that I'm reading, you know. So I see this publication process with other eyes right now. And yeah, as you mentioned, this is like my first baby, and I'm so proud of it. We are not expert, of course, but this is just the beginning of doing something a little bit different, but that we've been training, like this process throughout this process of MA, we've been training for this moment. So yeah, it is really meaningful. And thank you, girls, for sharing this experience of conducting a discourse analysis process, and of course, studying as non-material researchers. And thank you all for listening.